Hello everyone! Welcome back to a very special episode of What's What. Today, we are going to be visiting the Nexans manufacturing plant in Lens and the recycling plant in Noyelles, France, for on-site tours. But before we head up north, don't forget to like and subscribe below. In this plant, over 160 kilotons of copper is manufactured per year. The supply chain is straightforward, with copper directly shipped from mines to the plant, allowing for fast production time and the ability to meet tense deadlines. And Nexans is vertically integrated. It buys cathodes, manufactures rods, wires and conductors. Not only that, but thanks to plants like these, Nexans is the biggest cable manufacturer in the world that produces rod. And there he is, Philippe, our plant director here at Nexans in Lens. Hey Philippe.
Frédéric, you made it. Welcome home.
A home away from home, I'd say. So Philippe, can you tell our viewers a bit more about the mining to drawing process?
Of course. So it all starts with ore extraction. Usually copper mining is performed in an open pit that hosts a series of bridges which are progressively digging deeper into the earth to extract ore. To remove the ore, boring machinery drills holes into rock, then blasts the rock to get to the copper inside.
Sounds intense.
And that's just the start. After extraction comes the concentration process. This occurs in furnaces, which then oxidize the concentrates and isolate the copper.
And this concentration process happens at the mines?
Yes. Once the copper is extracted and concentrated, it is electro-refined to produce the cathode. The copper is then pure at 99.99%, meaning with very few impurities, degrading the conductivity. It is transported here via bulk vessel, container ship or train. Sometimes it lands at the Dunker harbor and then is delivered via freight company or trains. The copper is then weighed and taken in for casting. This process involves melting and solidifying copper from either cathodes or copper scraps delivered by our cable plants, thus allowing a circular economy. Then it is shaped into a hot rolling mill until we obtain an 8 mm copper wire rod. Next is the wire drawing process. The copper is reshaped through natural diamond dies to its desired diameter, from 1.8 mm and as small as 0.05 mm, even thinner than a hair.
And what happens if a malfunction occurs?
Well, we are pretty efficient here, but if a copper needs to be reshaped, no problem. One of the best things about this metal is just how malleable it is.
Incredible.
Yeah, but we have just gone over the basics. There is a lot of work that goes into our factories and copper production. So to fill you in with more details, I'm going to pass you along to Sébastien, our Nexans metallurgy specialist, for your next leg of the tour.
Great, thanks Philippe.
Frédéric, how is your visit so far?
So far so good, but I'm ready to learn more.
Well, come on then, let's continue. I'm sure Philippe mentioned that copper must be melted and reshaped.
He did, yes.
Copper has a melting point of 1085 degrees Celsius. And during the casting process, to melt copper, the furnace has to heat up to 1250 degrees Celsius. With a melting capacity of 30 tons per hour, I let you calculate the needed energy. After melting, we have the solidification step, which consists of cooling the liquid copper and form it into a bar shape. Look at how beautiful the grand structure of copper is just after solidification.
Indeed.
If you look these copper grains at high magnification, you will see the copper atoms arranged in a face-centered cubic structure. This allows for easy movement, meaning copper has a very good ductility.
And that explains why we are able to transform copper into fine wire after casting and drawing without breaking.
Indeed, but copper has a lot of other interesting properties. It has a high tensile strength, which means that it can withstand pulling and stretching forces. And thanks to its good corrosion resistance, it has a high longevity. Copper is a durable material that can last for many years without deteriorating.
And this makes copper an ideal material for cables.
Absolutely. But the most interesting and important thing is that copper has only one valence electron per atom, which is loosely bound and can move freely and easily from one atom to the next. As a result, copper offers excellent electrical conductivity. And as Philippe previously said, that's why it's necessary to have a pure copper at 99.99% to avoid impurities that may disturb electron movement and increase the electrical resistance. Well, Frédéric, if you have time, why don't you swing by the Nexans site in Noyelles and learn a bit more about why recycling is essential for the electricity market?
My day keeps getting better and better. Yeah! Will do. But hey, thank you, Sébastien. It was a pleasure.
Thanks to you. I have to get back to work. If you ever get bored with what's what, we could use an extra hand around here.
I call you. The exponential demand for electricity has exceeded our available natural resources. That is why sites like this recycling plant in Noyelles have grown to play an increasing factor in meeting industrial needs. Recycling is key. Franck, how are you?
Great, Frédéric. Sébastien mentioned you may be stopping by. I'm glad you made it.
Franck here is Recycling Services Manager for Nexans. He's going to give us the inside scoop on copper recycling.
Correct, my friend. Metal depletion can have an impact on the environment. For us, recycling copper has become key to working toward the goal of climate neutrality. Today, 1/3 of the refined copper market is supplied by recycled material. Basically, we want to reintroduce valuable metals back into the market, like this. Recycling requires much less energy than primary production, thus contributing to reducing CO2 emissions, and it is all made possible here.
But where does recycled copper come from?
Recycled copper can be pulled from urban mines or deconstruction of old buildings, from outdated or unused wiring.
Then they are refitted here?
Indeed, Frédéric. First, our scraps are put through a cable shredder which separates exterior insulation and copper. The granules are then taken and reprocessed to fit the demands of new applications, such as bank card chips, electronic circuits or plumbing pipes, and of course, cables.
Wow! Who knew these resources could be reapplied to the market?
And it's a good thing too. Copper is rare and expensive, so it makes sense to put processes in place to make the most of it. Recycling is not an option, it's a must.
Yes, it is. Thank you for this great information, Franck.
And thank you for stopping by.
Copper is extracted and concentrated at the mines, then transported to the Nexans manufacturing plant in Lens. There it is offloaded and weighed. The copper is then casted before being sent to the wire drawing process. Demand for copper exceeds industry production, making copper recycling essential. Recycled copper comes from outdated wires and urban mines. Recycling copper also has much less of an environmental impact than copper production. So, there you have it, live from our copper manufacturing and recycling plants, which processes are made possible by our friends at Nexans Lens and the Nexans site in Noyelles. We hope you enjoyed the tours today on this very rare episode of What's What. Have any comments? Feel free to drop one below. See you back in the studio. Thanks for tuning in.